Good afternoon, Chairman Murray, Ranking Member Burr, members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me to share my family's experiences with you today. My husband, Staff Sergeant Matthew Keil, was shot in the neck while on patrol in Ramadi, Iraq, February 24th, 2007, just 6 weeks after we were married. The bullet went through the right side of his neck, hit his vertebral artery, went through his spinal cord, and exited his left shoulder blade. Matt instantly became a quadriplegic. When I first saw him 3 days after he was injured, I was in shock. They explained to me that he had a Christopher Reeve type injury. He was on a ventilator for the rest of his life, and he would never move his arms or legs. Matt and I looked at each other in the hospital room at Walter Reed, and he asked me if I still loved him. I told him, "Baby, you're stuck with me." At that moment, we knew that we would be okay if we stayed in it together. I knew that we just needed to work really hard to get Matt off his ventilator and increase his life expectancy so that we could live out our dreams. Ultimately, we moved to Craig Hospital in Denver to be closer to our families. 4 weeks to the day of arriving at Craig Hospital, Matt was officially off his ventilator, and we could truly concentrate on him doing physical rehabilitation. Matt was able to regain 10% function of his left arm, but not his hand. He was feeling good and getting used to his new normal of being in a wheelchair and asking for help for everything. It was while we were at Craig Hospital that we started talking about having a family. The Craig doctors talked to us about in vitro fertilization, letting us know that that would be most likely the only way we could conceive. We started to get really excited that even though so much had been taken away from Matt physically, that we could still have the future that we always dreamed of. We had our whole lives ahead of us. Matt was just 24 when he was injured, and I was 28. We were very fortunate that he survived his injuries that day, and we made a promise to each other on our wedding day, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, and we meant every word, and we still do today. It's a challenge for my husband and I every day, but we knew we still wanted a family. I remember back when he was in rehab at Craig, and all we could talk about was when we were going to be adjusted to our new normal and when we would be ready to have children. We always knew, since the day we met, that we wanted to have kids. In 2008, we moved into a fully accessible home built for us by Homes for Our Troops, and we started feeling like things were falling back into place in our lives. We felt like we were getting back on track to where we were before he was injured. However, his injury ultimately, unfortunately, prevents him from having children naturally. In mid-2008, I started asking the VA what services they could offer my husband and I to assist us with fertility. I remember hitting roadblocks at every turn, and I decided to take things into my own hands. At one point, I was leading 12 women whose husbands were injured, writing letters and making phone calls and trying to get anyone to listen to us that we really needed help. Fertility treatments are very expensive, and since I had left my full-time job, we were still trying to adjust living on one income. I felt helpless and hopeless that our dreams of having a family may never come true. The VA did finally say that they would cover the sperm withdrawal from my husband, and that cost around $1,000, and that they would store it for us at no charge. However, they could not offer me anything. It's very difficult to put into words the emotions that I felt when I found out there was no help available for us from the VA or TRICARE. I felt very defeated, sad, disappointed, and in some ways, I felt helpless. I researched everything I could about how to get TRICARE to cover some of the costs, but they couldn't because it was a direct result of my husband's injuries, and that fell under the VA. The VA said they had no programs in place for this sort of thing. I even started asking nonprofits to assist with the cost, and they couldn't help due to the other immediate needs of injured service members. In January 2010, my husband and I decided that we needed to move forward with our plans to start a family, and we began our journey of fertility treatments. We selected a doctor in the private sector that has been a leader in IVF. We are fortunate that the best fertility doctor in the world is right in our town. Having a doctor located near our home was helpful because I had to go every other day and then daily near the time of the transfer. This made it very easy for my husband to be there with me every step of the way. I was on several medications that I took every day, along with injections into my stomach 3 times a day. I would go to the doctor every other day for blood draws to check my hormone levels and make sure everything was progressing normally. Each time I would be at the fertility clinic, I was charged anywhere from $250 to $650. TRICARE did not cover any of these costs of anything related to the fertility treatments because I did not have any fertility issues myself. Everything was a direct result of my husband's injuries. We are fortunate that Matt and I got pregnant on our first try with IVF. We welcomed our twins, Matthew and Faith, November 9th, 2010. And as you can see from the attached photographs, they are happy, healthy, and they love riding around with their dad. As a couple who had already sacrificed so much for our country, I don't believe we should also have to give up on our dream of having a family. Fertility treatments are not a guarantee of having children, but it does give us hope. It gives us hope that we can have a normal life just like everyone else. Part of living the American dream for us was having a home to raise our children, and of course having the children to fill our home. Now we have both, and while it is incredibly difficult to raise children while your husband is in a wheelchair, it is possible. We're living proof that anything is possible. This is exactly the way our family is supposed to be. I strongly believe that my husband is supposed to be in a wheelchair. I can't tell you why, but this is the life that we're supposed to be living, and it's what it's supposed to look like. We're happy, we are healthy, and we're living out our dreams. Now that my husband is retired, we're able to raise our children together as stay-at-home parents. We're a team, and my only wish is that other families could find this happiness. One of the things I love the most about having children now is that their dad is just their dad. They don't see the wheelchair. They make him feel like the man he was before he was injured, and they complete our life together, and the kids have helped fulfill our dreams that we had when we got married and started our life together. I'd like to emphasize this statement. Wartime changes a family. It shouldn't take away the ability to have one. I hope that hearing our story today has helped you understand the importance of offering fertility treatments to injured veterans who have lost the ability to reproduce naturally. I've always wanted more than anything for my husband to feel whole again. There's no magical cure for spinal cord injury. There is nothing out there that will help him walk again or move his arms. However, Congress, the VA, and the American people have said countless times that they want to do everything they can to support him and other wounded warriors. This is your chance to honor his sacrifice and others like him. Having a family is exactly what he needed to feel whole again. Please help us make these changes so that other families can share in this experience. And I also ask that you turn to the last page of my written statement and look at the photos I have provided. This is the face of a truly recovered injured veteran. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.